All right. It says I'm live, so I must be live, right? The internet never lies. Welcome in. This is the Howdy Tech Show.
We're Breezeline, and no matter your fiber internet needs, we got you. We're fast.
Hold on. There we go. Howdy Tech Show. This is episode 113, I believe, this week. Been on for quite a while. Yep, 113. Little live show that I do, little live stream that I do here on YouTube every weekend. Here recently I've changed it to being Sunday mornings instead of Saturday mornings. That's because of personal reasons and whatnot. Just a little bit of a chance for the community to hang out with me. We go over some tech news usually. We got a few articles this week that we're going to go over. We talk about how the channel's done. Then after that, it's just kind of a hangout session. See how long the chat goes and see what happens. We do talk about how the channel's done for the past week. Let's see what kind of articles we do have this week. I'm not too sure. We got the Ryzen 9 7950X, 7900, 7700X, and 7600X. CPUs leaked out. We have the 7600X beats the i9 12900K by 22%. And a single core thread. We have Intel confirmed CPU component price hike. That don't surprise nobody. We also have NVIDIA GeForce 4080, 4070 expected 3D time work. I couldn't find no real solid computer news this week. A lot of what we're going to cover and talk about in today's video or live stream is going to be rumors. So definitely take it with a grain of salt. The one thing I did find was from Tom's Hardware. Everything else is from WCCFTech. They're pretty good about the rumor mill, so we'll see what happens. A couple disclaimers. I do enjoy me a cold Budweiser while I do this. So I hope the weekend's finding you well. Cheers to y'all. Number 2 disclaimer. I don't have the cleanest mouth. I do have a bit of a potty mouth. I try to keep it to a very bare minimum here while I do the live stream. But every once in a while it does sneak out. I try not to let it sneak out, but sometimes it does. So there is that as well. You know, if the cussing or the drinking bothers you, maybe this ain't the right live stream for you. You know, I just don't want nobody here that's going to feel uncomfortable or anything like that. So yeah, we'll jump over here and we'll get into some of these articles and see what's coming up on the tech side of stuff for the week. Let's see if I can get pulled up here. How do I go about doing this again? I only do this once a week. There we go. This should be flipping over for you guys. The first article we got here is from WCCFTech. All the articles we talk about will be in the description below. If you guys want to do some more reading on it, you're more than welcome to do so. AMD Ryzen 9 7950X and the Ryzen 9 7900X. Ryzen 7 7700X and Ryzen 5 7600X Raphael Zen 4 desktop CPU leaked. I didn't get to do a whole lot of reading on this this morning. I kind of brought them up and yeah, but AMD does confirm these 4 processors. Of course, one of the other articles we got we're talking about is the IPC performance of the one of these listed, which is 7600X. The AMD Ryzen 7000 desktop CPUs will be supported on the AM5 platform. Everybody knows this, which adds support for at least I/O technicians such as PCI Gen 5 and DDR5. The desktop CPUs themselves will get a new Zen 4 core architecture and will be marked under the Raphael Ryzen 7000 family. based on the list, which was seamlessly uploaded on AMD's very own resource library. There are at least 4 SKUs in the works, all which are X SKUs and are listed below. So we got the Ryzen 9 7950X, we got the Ryzen 9 7900X, we have the Ryzen 7 7700X, and the Ryzen 5 7600X. Looks like this did come off of videocards.com website here, where they are in the lineups. Has provided a significant SKU detailed for each of the Ryzen 7000 desktop CPUs yet, but based on the naming scheme, we can expect the 7950X to rock a 16-core 32-thread configuration. The 7900X is 12-core 24-thread. 7700 is 8-core 16-thread, and the 7600 should rock a 6-core 12-thread. So basically, it's going to be the same core and thread count as the previous generations. And they also got an AMD Ryzen 7000 16-core, 8-core, and 6-core variants have been leaked in benchmarks, so it's safe to assume these are the configurations we are looking at. The most investigation SKUs listed here is the Ryzen 7700X, which hasn't been talked about, as early rumors suggest 7800X to launch instead of the higher-end 7800X SKUs. A recent rumor has also suggested that the Ryzen 9 7000 SKUs will feature 170-watt TDP and at its normal voltage output, so we can expect the Ryzen 7700X and 7600X to run slightly more moderate TDP range between 65 and 125 watts. It may be possible that AMD will leave some room to launch higher end Ryzen 5 and Ryzen 7 SKUs later on with higher TDPs and higher clock speeds. Chris McGraw's in the house. MT Coiner's in the house. How you guys doing this weekend? Glad you guys could hang out with me. I'm less shocked by those leaks than the 8 gig 6500 XT coming out soon. Too late, of course. Howdy, Dave. Out on the boat fishing with my 7-year-old son. Should shout out my son Landon. He is the next generation of PC enthusiast. How you doing, Landon? How you doing, buddy? I hope you're enjoying that fishing trip with your dad. I'm glad you guys could join in this weekend. I don't know why, but my other page, when you guys were chatting there, it wasn't showing up for some reason. Seems like I got some buffering going on this weekend too, but I don't know exactly why. I hope the stream's doing pretty good. I'll take a look at that here in a minute, Chris. That link you put in there from Tom's Hardware. Here's the article on Tom's Hardware about the 6500. I'll take a look at that here in a minute, bud. The following are the TDP and PPT ranges we can expect from the AMD 7000. 45 watts, 65 watts, 95 watts, 105 watts, 125 watts, 170 watts. AMD has aimed its target the high-end enthusiasts first, so they were likely going to launch the high TDP variants first on the X670. Here's the article from Tom's Hardware. Of course, they're going to come out with the high-end stuff. They always do. That's nothing new to anybody. We have the Ryzen 7950X. Looks like it's going to be going for about 700 US. The 7900X looks like about $600. 7800 about 400. 7700 going about 300. And the 7600X is going for about 200. Wonder why they've decided to go with the XQ instead of what they have been doing. But anyways, that must be a little bit faster chips, and then they'll come out with the non-XQs whenever they can't get them up to them frequencies, I'm assuming. But anyways, that's what we kind of know about the 7000 series chips. And like I said, if you guys really want to read into it more, there is links in the description below to all of them today. So, what we got here? Sapphire confirms a Radeon 6500 XT with 8 gigs of VRAM. 6500 XT. Hey, y'all want to see me? There you go. Y'all gonna have my nightmares now tonight. So they're going from a 6500 up to a 6500 XT with 8 gigs of VRAM. If it's still going off the 6500 chip, though, I don't see where it's going to be much of an upgrade. 6500 XT had a tough time when it was launched. It was quite widely dismissed and underpowered and underfeatured. However, it seems like both Intel and NVIDIA have sought to make it look like a champion by releasing competitive graphics cards like the A380 and the 1630. In the period, AMD owned RX 6400 also makes the RX 6500 XT seem like quite a muscular offering. So what's the big differences here? A little bit higher boost clocks, same stream processor, same ray tracing. Looks like going double the VRAM. Oh, both of them is on the 65 XT. One's 4 gig, one's an 8 gig. One HDMI, one display port, both of them 130 watts. Above you can see exactly what Sapphire has changed for its Pulse 6500 XT model. The GPU max boost clock speed is technically 1% faster, but that could reasonably be described as negligible. Most people would play modern AAA games on the 6500 XT with lowish settings such as entry-level GPU, which also lowers the VRAM requirements. The larger memory capacity can help in some games in certain settings. Texture resolution, shadow resolution, but GPU power and memory bandwidth will quickly become the bottleneck. Yeah, conclusion, those CPUs will be powerhouses and we'll need a nuclear power plant at home. Yeah, the new CPUs coming out, they are going to be pretty power hungry. For reference, in our GPU benchmarks, the 6600 was 80% faster than the 6500 XT at 1080p medium and over twice as fast at 1080p ultra, making it a far more compatible GPU overall. That's because it has 75% more GPU cores and double the memory interface width, which are both important for real-world gaming performance. It also has an 8x PCI interface support for 4 monitors and increased full hardware video encoding. And the 6500 XT, I mean, if it's going to come out with 4 gig and 8 gig, I don't think a GPU of a 6500 is going to be able to utilize 8 gigs of VRAM. Did they mention the price? It looked like they was going to mention the price of it, but I don't see a price listed. Oh, there we go. 6500 XT 4 gig will start at $189. But it's faster than the 6600 8 gig, starting at $279. And the lower price on the Sapphire 6500 XT 4 gig is $199. Yeah, I don't know. But doubling that, going from 4 to 8 gigs, I don't think it's going to make much of a difference, like I said in the article. I don't think the GPU will be able to keep up with 8 gigs of VRAM, or you'll be able to utilize it very much. I mean, it's nice that they're trying to improve that card, but it's just the GPU that it's made out of. It just ain't very good. Ain't very good at all, if you ask me, not for gaming anyways. Let's see, next article we had for the weekend here, the Ryzen 5 7600X. This is the one from Tom's Hardware. Beats the 1200K by 22% in a single core benchmarks. That's pretty impressive when you get a 6-core 12-thread processor to beat the 12900K in a single core benchmarks. That means it's better PCI, which means it's going to be better for gaming. One of AMD's upcoming hex core Zen 4 chips just outperformed Intel's current flagship 12900K in single core performance in new benchmarks. But yeah, you can always expect this from one generation to the next. They're always going to be leapfrogging each other. Now the test bed for the 7600 consists of an ASRock N7B65 XT motherboard, 32 gigs RAM. Of course, with DDR5, 5600 memory. The slow DDR5 memory could hold a Ryzen 5 7600 back in a little. Hold it back a little. The 7600X delivered a 22% higher single core performance than the 12900K compared with the i5 12600K. The unannounced Ryzen 5 7600 outpaced the Intel chip by 27%. Furthermore, if we look at the generation over generation comparison, the Ryzen 5 7600 posts 56% higher single core performance than the 5600X. Oh, excuse me. So with this new generation coming out, you're looking at about 56% better single core performance, better IPC, better gaming performance out of the chips. I thought it was kind of interesting. And the single core, pretty well, you can put that single core against any CPU out there from the previous generation. It's going to equal about the same. Multi-core is going to be different. Like right here, it's showing, the 7600X is beating in the single core performance between these two. But the multi-core still ain't as high because you have more cores and more threads on the 12900K. So, I mean, it's good that they are upping the IPC, or better performance per single core. Of course, the more of the cores you have, the better it's going to be. I guess that's good news, but then again, you have Intel 13th gen coming out, which is going to be the 13900K. We're going to have to see what Intel actually does with their IPC to combat with this. I'm sure the 13th gen will probably have about the same performance uplift as what 12th gen's got, or thereabouts. Intel's probably looking at this saying, "Ha, 56%, watch this." The 6500 XT is crap, but more VRAM will help greatly for someone wanting to make an retro gaming or enthusiast machine. VRAM is used a lot in most consoles, emulators. Yeah, I mean, it'd be alright if you're going to do something with that, like something like that with the 6500. I don't know if a whole lot of people was actually into that. I'm sure there's a market for that, for the emulator machines. And of course, the more emulators you got open at a time, the more VRAM it uses up. The more VRAM will help you with your, if you use the encoder for, which 6500 don't even have the encoder, so it really don't play a part in it. The VRAM will play a big part in the encoding if you're going to use it for your encoding or de-encoding of video. But if I ain't mistaken, I don't think 6500's even got an encoder in it. I don't think 6400 or 6500 got it. And I didn't see no place in that article where they were going to add the encoder and de-encoding. But that's pretty well the CPUs. I guess kind of take it with a grain of salt. It is from Tom's Hardware, so it's pretty solid information, I feel. But I'm kind of curious, it's going against the 12900K. I'm kind of curious to see what 13th gen is going to come out with Intel. What Intel's going to do to compete with that. Of course, 13th gen is going to be faster than the 1200s. Just because it's a little bit, they've had a little bit more time to play with the architecture and whatnot. So, I think it'll be interesting. It's definitely going to be an interesting round of CPU against CPU this year around when they come out with both of them. Something we all don't want to hear about, but it is in the news. Intel confirms CPU and component price hike taking effect in quarter 4 of 2022. So basically, they're going to be upping the prices. Intel confirms component prices hikes include CPU take effect from quarter 4 of 2022. During its Q2 2022 earnings call, Intel reported that it has missed both revenue and EPS targets by a double-digit percentage. Both Intel's client computing and data center segments saw a huge downfall in terms of revenue, and while the company releases that they are trying to do better and have a very good set of products coming out in the second half of 2022. Chipzilla will issue a price hike on the majority of those components, including CPUs. So if you're going to be buying a CPU, you better grab them up if you're looking at an Intel CPU. With a smaller CPU like a cheap Ryzen 3 3100, it would make a nice emulator machine for cheap, and it's PCI Gen 4, so at least there's that. Yeah, of course that'd be building a balanced machine too. You go with the 3100 if you can find them. As far as I know, the 3100, 3300 are still pretty hard chips to come by. I believe they both had the PCI Gen 4 slot on them. But it'd be alright for an emulation machine. Actually, the 3100 machine I built, it was probably a year and a half ago now, and sold. I've had no complaints from that customer. Machine's holding up good, and it still does everything he needs it to do. But if you're looking to buy an Intel chip, you may want to pull the trigger now before Q4 comes around. I'm sure it's going to affect the Raptor Lake or the 13th gen. It's going to affect the notebooks. It's going to, anything Intel puts out, it's going to have an effect on. So you can expect, don't say how much a price hike any place that I've seen of. Well, what's this? Or the majority of Intel's business, and there expects price hikes for a single digit up to 10 to 20% on certain products. So you're 10 to 20% more for an Intel processor. So if you're looking at a pre-built system or you're looking at a laptop, that's going to affect. You're looking at 10 to 20% more on the price of it, just because of the CPUs in them. I've already pairing the 6500 with a Ryzen 5 5500 or 5500G and 4000 and all G variants, since they support. All them processors do support Gen 3, not Gen 4. There is a big loss with the 6500 on a Gen 3 system over a Gen 4 system. Which I was going to do that myself. I was going to pair a 6400 with a Gen 3 system, but we'll get into that in a little bit. That ain't going to happen now. But anyways, looks like 10 to 20% more on certain products. Been finalized yet, but the Intel has communicated with their partners and customers to prepare the price hike. 10 to 20% loss is no great. Yeah, 10, 15, 20% loss on GPU performance definitely ain't good. It's not a good thing. This report also highlights flagship CPU products for the client for the 13th Gen Raptor Lake. So you're going to be paying a little bit more for Intel. I don't think that's going to really surprise many people. Intel was good about trying to get the highest price out of the components anyways. I was not talking of Intel. That's good for us. Yeah, 15, 20% loss. I know. You're talking about the PCI Gen 3 compared to PCI Gen 4 on the 6500. I know. I understand, Chris. Until prices rise up again. Yeah, and they will. With the new products coming out there, they always raise between generations. There's no way to stop that. Especially when you're talking, if you're looking for the new GPUs coming out and whatnot, they're gonna. It happens every time a new GPU comes out. The prices go up. There ain't no way you're gonna stop it. It's gonna happen. That's just the way the computer industry works. Roller coaster pricing continues. Yeah. Yep. It went down and it's going to start back up. Everybody's saying that 30 series GPU prices will drop when 4000 series launches. I don't believe it's going to happen. They may drop a little bit just because of something newer out. But I don't think they're going to drop enough to justify the performance of them. That's just my opinion. Speaking of the new graphics cards coming out, we do have NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4080 and 4070 expected 3D merc times by performance. This is on WCCFTech, so it is rumored. Take it with a grain of salt. That's like most things coming out in the hardware. Of course, this comes from one of the big leakers on Twitter. He usually hits stuff pretty close or just about right on. Kimmy, I guess the way you pronounce it. I don't know how you pronounce his name. I don't think anybody knows the proper way of pronouncing it. It's not all estimations. It's based on actual tests. The 4080 and 4070 is getting primary 3D performance estimations. Let's see here. The leaker doesn't go into much detail, but says that he isn't sure about the performance numbers. Despite that, he shared them and we might be getting our first taste of where the 4080 and the 4070 end up compared to their predecessors. Excuse me. They're looking at the 4080 with the time spy extreme of 15,000. The 4070 time spy extreme is 10,000. The scores are based on specs I mentioned before. Honestly, it's not quite sure yet. Expected in the RTX 4090, where I don't care. Someone came back and replied, I think the 4070 should be better than the 3090 Ti. It says it needs a better spec. Not too sure on what they're referring to there, but we have the NVIDIA 4080 is going to be cut down. AD 103, 300 GPU, configured with 10,240 cores, 80 SMEs, enabled for the total of 84 units. The GPU will compact with 64 megabits of L2 cache and end up with 224 ROPS. As far as memory specs, the 4080 is expected to rock 16 gigs of DDR6X. Capacities that are said to be adjusted at 21 gigabytes per second speed across 256 bus interface. This will provide 672 gigabytes of bandwidth. For power, the TBP is said to be rated at around 420 watts, which is close to the RTX 4090, and since the memory clocks aren't the aggressive, it is likely that the core clocks could be turned for maximum graphical performance. Got another news article there. First look at, Chris, from Tom's Hardware. We'll take a look at it here in a second, buddy. This is my last article I had pulled up for the day. Lastly, we have the NVIDIA 4070, which is expected to be a cut-down configuration of the AD 104 GPU with slightly higher clock count than the RTX 3070 Ti. 3070 Ti got 6144 of 7,168 cores and 56 SMs. The GPU will compact with 48 megabits of L2 cache and will end up to 160 props. That is your next little chart if you actually want to see what they're saying they're going to be. Again, this is all rumored. Most of the rumors on the new NVIDIA cards come from the source. Now coming to performance benchmarks, the leaker starts the NVIDIA 4080 should score 15,000 points in 3D, which should be 68% ahead of the 3080 and around 33% faster than the 3090 Ti, the current gen flagship. But there would be a huge gap between the 4090 and 4080, with the flagship offering uplift of 27% more and massive compared to the last generation, where the 3090 and 3080 only had a difference of about 13%. So basically, they're saying the 4090 is going to be a lot better compared to the 4080 than what the 3090 is compared to the 3080 there. NVIDIA GeForce 4070 is said to score around 10,000 points in Time Spy Extreme. This is 50% increase in performance over the 3070 and matches the 3090 non-TI. This would be some insane performance for gamers if the card ends up at $499 US price tag. It ain't going to happen. Don't count on it. But once again, we see a massive performance difference between the 4080 and the 4070 of 50%. Even if NVIDIA launches the 4070 Ti, which let's say adds 10 to 15% uplift, There would still be a 35% gap in performance in between the two segments. Previous gen had a gap of 36% between the RTX 3080 and the 3070, which got even lower to 23% with the 3070 Ti. So there's just some graphs. The 4090 with time spy extreme should be getting about 19,000. 4080 should be getting about 15,000. 3090 Ti reaches 11,282. 6950X is getting 10,743. 3090 is 10,062. 47's an even 10,000. 3080 Ti goes down to 9,803. That should be some pretty massive uplifts, but you ain't gonna get them for the same prices. I said it when last generation came out that the pricing wasn't going to hold, and to get them down to where they're even close to that MSRP is pretty ridiculous now. Micron is doing the same as TSMC also. Oh, Micron's trying to fight them on canceling the orders. Imagine that. But that's some of the leaked benchmarks they have for the new cards coming out. I don't know. Kind of interesting to see how this plays out. But they changed so much that it's kind of hard to believe anything these leaks say. What these leaks says, but you know, it happens. Let's see what this here Tom article is here. Here we go. TSMC completes construction of a 5-nanometer fab in Fab 21 in Arizona. I think we covered this a little bit. I don't know, quite a few months ago. They were going to be bringing some more of these online. Kind of strange that they're still carrying on with fulfilling these fabs whenever everybody's trying to cancel their orders with them. TSMC recently held a topping out ceremony for its Fab 21 near Phoenix, Arizona, to celebrate the completion of the construction, which progresses in breakneck speeds from March 21 to July of 22. With the building ready, it is time for TSMC to install supplementary equipment and then move in semiconductor product tools. So they got the building done. They're waiting for the tools to be coming in to be able to get the fab up and going. I think they've kind of jumped the guns on this, but great progress continues on a 5-nanometer silicon fab 21 in Phoenix, Arizona. Reads a LinkedIn post from TSMC. We recently celebrating placing the last beam, also known in the construction industry as a topping milestone. In Fab's 21 building with our local partners, over 4,000 attendees were on hand to enjoy the important moment, including our own employees and partners. Now that the fab shell is complete, TSMC will need to install various anti-vibration devices, warning, sewage, ventilation, air conditioning, and so on. Once everything is ready, it will start equipping its clean room with various fab equipment, including scanners, acting, how do you pronounce that, depository, resin removal, meteorology, and inspection tools, just to name a few. So the building's about done. They're getting close to it. It's pretty cool, pretty interesting. You know, the timing on getting it done, I think, is a little off. You know, because AMD and NVIDIA and Intel, they're trying to cancel orders with TSMC, which they ain't letting them out of the contracts for the orders, which is understandable, I guess, depending on which company you're really voting for. They started building all these new fabs because of the silicon shortage, because of the chip shortages going on. Which I think this is great because it's bringing a lot of jobs to the U.S., at least around the Arizona area. You know, I mean, it's going to create a lot of jobs, which the U.S. really needs that right now. Of course, I don't talk too much politics, but U.S. definitely needs more jobs in the area. But we need more Americans willing to work too. But that's a different topic. Yeah, but it is, in time, it might help pricing if overseas shipping is eliminated. Yeah, it could, because it is being produced here in the U.S. It may even actually bring the prices down on it. You know, you may see a price drop because of it once they get it up and get it functional, because they don't have to pay to ship it all from overseas. You know, I mean, it costs quite a bit to get something shipped from overseas over to us. That is another good point of it. It is made here on U.S. soil, so we won't have to depend on the shipping and all that. Made and shipped from the U.S. will be good for all North American. Yeah. Now, you know, it's going to bring a lot of jobs in the area. It's going to hopefully cut down. Oh, excuse me. Hopefully it'll cut down on the prices because it is made in the U.S., so you don't have to pay the overseas shipping fees and all the taxes and all that goes along with that. So you may see quite a price drop just because of that within itself, depending on how the companies decide to handle it. But a lot of the bigger companies now that deal with TSMC is pretty money hungry, so I don't know if they'll actually pass the savings on to us or not as the consumer. And production will be easier to get. Yeah, it's easier. It'll be a lot easier to get. Like I said, you know, it'll be a great thing because it will bring in a lot of jobs. You can get the American society to actually get their ass back to work instead of living off of however the hell they're living. I don't even know how most people are living nowadays, but I think it'd be a good thing. You know, the shipping costs should be down on it. Bring a lot of jobs here into the U.S. and the Arizona area. I'm not even close to the Arizona area, but it will do. It should bring in quite a few jobs. Let's see. I think I then talked about all this stuff. I think. Yep. But I think it'll be a pretty good thing to get it produced here in the U.S. soil. I'll be right back, guys. All right, I'm back. Mother Nature was kind of calling. Yeah, there are many lazy people here in Canada too. I understand what you mean. Yeah, I don't know how people paying the bills, but it just seems like everywhere you go in the U.S., you know, you gotta help wanted signs hanging up. You know, everybody's needing people to do labor. People needing, you know, companies looking to hire people. Just, I don't know. I can't figure it out. I guess it's just the newer generation, I guess. I don't know. My generation, you know, we was raised to bust your back and do what you had to do to pay your bills. And it just seems that it's a whole different economy. It's just, I don't know. I can't figure it out. I don't know how people are paying the bills. Even where I work at, you know, I work for a warehouse here locally, and the people inside, you know, they don't make as much as what I do as driving truck. And they're constantly calling off. They're constantly not showing up. They're constantly not doing what they need to do. And I've even brought up to management, I don't even know how they're paying the bills. I just, you know, I can't figure it out. I don't understand it. Maybe I ain't meant to understand it. Maybe I'm just too old school. You know, or the company I actually drive for is actually opening a really, really big warehouse up in Ohio. Should be open by the end of this year. And we got 5 different warehouses here locally in my local area. And we can't hardly keep enough people working to keep things moving down here. You know, I don't know how they're going to plan on getting enough people to open up a new warehouse that's going to employ, you know, probably another 200-300 people. You know, people are falling off where I work at, and they ain't being replaced. But yeah, I don't know. I can't figure it out. I guess it's above my pay grade. As long as my job don't go to another place and I can afford to pay my bills and I'm continuing to work and make my money that I need to pay my bills, I'm happy. Everything else is above my knowledge and above anything I got to do with it. Oh, excuse me. All right, but anyways, we covered what news articles that I had for the day. Also threw in a couple extra ones there that Chris wanted to talk about, which I have no problem with. If you guys want something particular you want me to cover, throw it over there in chat. Throw me the link. I'll be more than happy to talk about it. We'll flip over here and see how the channel's done for this week, which is actually down a little bit. Here we go. This is actually the analytics that I look at. Looks like we got 9 new community members this week, which is down by about 18% from last week. What YouTube's telling me, which ain't the greatest, but we'll take it. If you're watching, you're new to the community, welcome in. Glad you decided to hit that subscribe button. I guess, as far as the channel goes, I guess we ain't doing too bad. We got 2,125 community members or subscribers to the channel. I think a lot of them is dead community members, but anyways, you know, so we do have 9 new community members this week, which ain't too bad, I guess. We'll take it. Talking about the videos. The one for last week ain't doing the greatest, which I didn't think it would. It was the RMA process from A-Data. It's got 15 views since Wednesday, which ain't the greatest, but it ain't bad either, I guess. If we look at the dashboard here, it's number 9 out of 10. So it ain't doing the greatest, but you know, it was something pretty easy, pretty quick for me to throw out. Yeah, but anyways, that's what the channel's looking like here. The question I get a lot is a Ryzen 3000 or Intel 10th gen worth upgrading for current gen CPU right now? No. I'd have to say no to that. You're looking at a 3000 series Ryzen processor. You're looking at a 10th gen Intel processor. Depending on the SKU that you're running too. You know, I mean, if you're looking to upgrade from a 4-core processor up to a 8-core processor or something like that, yeah. You know, if you're going to make a major upgrade. But if you're going to go from a 3000 to a 5000 just because the 5000 is out, no. I think that's going to go for when the 6000 launches as well. You know, and that's what gets to me. Like a 3600 or Intel equivalent. Yeah, if you're running a 3600 or equivalent from Intel, you'll find for quite a few years to come. You know, and it kind of gets me riled up. I've mentioned it in the past that there's people out there, especially on YouTube, that say and when the 4000 series launch, you know, it's going to make the 3000 series obsolete. It ain't going to be the newest. I'll grant you that. It won't be the newest because the 4000 series GPU will be out or the 7000 series processor will be out. But it also don't make it to where it's obsolete either. You know, the previous gen or the recent gen, you know, what we're working with now, it's going to still give you the same performance because something new comes out. Don't mean last gen's going to be obsolete. Maybe next gen Ryzen after some time and bugs are mostly ironed out. Yeah, and that's another thing to look at too. When you're looking at the newest stuff, even the 12th gen Intel, from what I've seen, a lot of people still having issues with 12th gen. Especially with Windows 11, with the new scheduler and the way that works and whatnot. You know, they're having a lot of issues with it. And 12th gen's been out for, what, almost a year now? It's just because of that scheduling issue that I think why Intel is having so much issues with it. That and you're trying to incorporate a new operating system on top of the new CPU. You know, if you're going, you know, like my system, I'm running a 3950X. I do because I do 4K video editing. I run 64 gigs of DDR4 memory. And I do it because I do 4K video editing. I don't see me needing to upgrade any time in the near future just because something new comes out, even though it's a 3000 series CPU. My system is very unbalanced because of the GPU I'm running. That 3950X should run, you know, the 3090 Ti if I wanted it to, with no problems, no issues. I could probably get a little bit better performance if I went up to the 5950X because of the IPC on it. But, you know, my CPU is still holding up and does what I need to do, so I don't see no sense paying another $750 to $800 for the newer stuff when it ain't going to benefit me much. I always wait a year at least. Don't want to feel like a beta tester or a lab rat. Yeah. You know, if you look back through the channel, I never covered Ryzen, the first gen of Ryzen. They had to get the bugs worked out. Intel's a little bit different. Because Intel makes such big changes from one generation to the next usually. Usually every generation of Intel requires a new motherboard, which requires a new chipset, which, you know, and there's a lot of conflict there from one generation to the next. Kind of surprises me that Intel is going from 12th gen Intel to 13th gen Intel and still on the same socket, which is going to mean, you know, the motherboards are still going to be compatible. Maybe AMD's actually taught them something. about having backwards compatibility with the new stuff coming out, because AMD's had a fairly good run with the AM4 socket. It's been out for 5 years, 6 years, 5 years. You know, and maybe Intel's picking up on that they could keep more of the market share or whatnot if they do use the same platform from one generation to the next. TSMC 5nm is next gen, so since it will be made in the US, also it will improve IPC and cost. I wouldn't say the next gen is going to be made in the US, even by that article, by the time the building's done, but they still have a lot of equipment to move in. So you're probably looking at probably 4nm will probably be out by the time that fab is actually up and online. By the time they get all the equipment moved in, they get all the specialists and everything like that they need to run that facility. I'm going to say your 5nm will probably still be coming from overseas. Yeah, cooler sockets will still be compatible with AM5. Yep, I meant over time. Yeah, the 5nm processor will probably still be coming from overseas. Maybe towards the end of the 5nm process, they'll actually get that lab up and going, whether created here in the US. Most of them are going to be still coming from overseas. I think it'll be at least a generation older by the time they get that facility up and going. Hopefully it don't take that long. Sounds like they're pretty close to getting it going. But yeah, I guess time will tell if they'll get it up in time for that. Cooler sockets will still be compatible. Yeah, and that's the talking about the AMD and the AM5. It's pretty cool that they're using the same pattern layout for the coolers. So anything you got on AM4 will fit on an AM5 socket. That's pretty cool that they're doing that. One thing that really bites about AM5, in my opinion, is DDR5. Because if I'm not mistaken, I haven't looked at it lately because I don't deal with it. But DDR5, in my opinion, I believe is still pretty pricey. Let's see here. Memory. DDR5 memory. Let me flip you over and we'll see what DDR5 is costing here. Yeah, it looks like DDR5 right now. When you're talking AM5, they're going you gotta go to DDR5 memory, and you're still paying at the low end $50, $60 for an 8 gig stick of DDR5. And AM5 is going to require this. Where with Intel 1700, you can still do the DDR4 memory. And by what I'm understanding, still yet, even though DDR5 has been out for so many months, you know, there still ain't much of an uplift from DDR4 memory. So if you're going to go with AM5, you're still looking at a higher cost of entry just due to the DDR5 prices. We're looking at PC port picker. The only thing I chose was DDR5. So we're still looking at $50, $60 for an 8 gig stick. You get down into 16 gig. So if we go with 2 8 gig sticks, which is what you really need for gaming. You really don't need to go beyond 16 gigs if you're just gaming. Now, if you're doing video content or something like that, you want to maybe think about 32 gigs. But for a 16 gig kit, 2 8 gig modular, you're looking at still $90, $105, $111. So it's still going to be a pretty high entry cost for DDR5 memory, even when AM5 comes out. I was hoping DDR5 would come down in price before AM5 came out or Raptor Lake came out, but it is coming down. But it ain't coming down to where it'd really be worth the upgrade from DDR4. Yeah, they may make the new one 4 nanometer fab instead of the 5 nanometer, just because of the time frame of when it's going to actually be up and running. I think we don't get as much improvement with Intel chips as we will with AMD. Ryzen always favored higher speeds and relies more on it. I suspect DDR5 will be a lot more useless with AM5. Yeah, DDR5 is coming down very slowly. You're right, Chris. It's coming down very slowly in price. I was hoping we would see a massive drop in it before AM5 launched. As far as what you said about Intel and AMD, you know, Intel kind of don't move as fast as what AMD does with their improvements. With the release of Ryzen, I think Intel has to give you better performance from one generation to the next just to stay competitive with AMD. That compatibility that AMD's done, you know, they're kind of forcing Intel to make better improvements. You know, we ain't going to end up with another 14 with 20 pluses after it like we did in the past, because AMD's really putting the pressure on Intel. So Intel's definitely going to have to step up the game to be able to beat out AMD. And for Intel to stay competitive and to keep their market share, they're going to have to really give you some better performance on their CPUs over what they have in the past. And just be able to keep their market share and to keep the gamers happy. Talking about what's coming up on the channel. I was working this morning. There probably won't be no video out this week. You guys know I hate it when I can't deliver can't deliver on a video. But this week there may not be a video coming out. I was working on the teardown and the cleaning of the HP or the Dell Optiplex, and I kind of messed up my motherboard. While I was wiping down the motherboard with alcohol and paper towels, I grabbed a hold of the pins inside the socket, and if I just bent the pins there, I could have straightened them out. Which I've never seen this happen in an Intel socket before. But instead of just bending them over, it actually pulled them up out of the socket. So I kind of destroyed my motherboard, being stupid as I am. So it's pretty jacked up. They are trying to mimic Infinity Cache in the 30D Stack B cache, so no surprise there. Yeah, they're trying to duplicate what AMD's doing with the processes they got going on that's making them so much better than what their previous gen stuff has done. But I kind of messed up the motherboard on that Dell Optiplex. I don't know too much about replacing that system. I know I was supposed to give that one away. Yeah, I messed up the pins. I don't have the motherboard out right now. I'd show you. But instead of them bending over, which if they bend over, I can straighten them out. But there's some of them that actually got bent and pulled up, and I can't get them pushed back down in. So I messed up the whole motherboard. So, you know, foolish me. I should have left the CPU in the socket while I was cleaning the rest of the motherboard, and I didn't do that. Ended up messing up the pins. Which that's what I was working on this morning. So there probably won't be a video this Wednesday coming out. I'm going to try to throw something together, but I can't guarantee it. I go back to work tomorrow. I got 12-hour shifts all week. Well, 12 and a half hours actually. 12 hours paid, 12 and a half hour shift because I have a half-hour lunch. Yeah, so some of the content that's on that is kind of messed up all the content I had coming up on that system. I may order another one. I mean, you can get them for about $150 right now. Seen some people being able to get like 10th gen Intel systems and then pre-builts for about the same as what I paid for that one. I removed the USB 3 socket on my Acer Nitro system, and it's a pain to put back in. Yeah, some of them USB 3s can be. I don't bend pins at least. Yeah, it was a stupid mistake on my part. I should have left the CPU in the socket while I was cleaning the rest of the motherboard. I was cleaning with a blue shop towel with alcohol, trying to get some of the big dust and whatnot knocked off the motherboard. And the shop towel got into the pins. It's my fault. I screwed it up. You know, I should have left the CPU in the socket. And I didn't. So now I got to pay the price for it. I did get a 6500 CPU out of it and 8 gigs of RAM and a 460 gig hard drive out of the deal, I guess. The case and the motherboard's useless. You know, like I said, I tried putting the pins back, you know, tried straightening them out and putting them back down in, and it just ain't working right for me. So, you know, them videos have been kind of scrapped. Unless I buy another one, which if I do buy another one, I'll probably go with something with like the 10th gen system instead of the 6th gen. But it is what it is. You didn't mess up. You learned a lot that is different. Yeah, it's definitely a learning experience, you know, and that comes with the territory. Which I did order this past week. It should be in next week. I actually ordered that for that system. Yeah, you definitely gotta pay to learn sometimes. There's no mistake about that. But I do have the XFX Speedster Swift 105 coming in. That's about what I paid for it yesterday. I bought it yesterday. It's supposed to be in by tomorrow. With the way the mailing is in my area, I may see it by Tuesday or Wednesday. But I will get some content out on the 6400, which by this point is kind of old news, but I'm going to put my version of it out. I was going to do I was going to compare it, you know, once I got the system upgraded, compare it to what the 530 Intel graphics would do. Can't do that now. Well, I guess I could still do that. But since I messed up that CPU, you know, CPU you can get some cheap on eBay for a replacement. Yeah, it ain't the CPU that's messed up. The CPU's fine. It's the motherboard. The pins inside the motherboard. It's the Intel socket. The Intel socket itself. Which I'll use that. I'll end up building something with that CPU. I just have to get appropriate motherboard in for it. And, you know, I got the 8 gigs of RAM. Maybe I'll order a regular motherboard that that CPU will fit into. Make a build out of it anyways. But it actually bent the pins on inside of the socket, which messed up the motherboard. It pulled the pins actually up out of the socket. I can't get it put back together right. Yeah, it's LGA. Uh, so that's actually the motherboard that's bad, not the CPU. I mean, the CPU should still work just fine. Um, I have to look it up and give me a motherboard that will fit that. Maybe I'll do a budget build with that CPU and see what they're going for on the used market at the time and put a build together out of it. Yeah, they still use the PGA for right now, which AM5 will be going to the LGA. So yeah, I was working on that video all morning, ended up wasting a lot of time on that. Like I said, I go back to work tomorrow. I really don't have time to put another video together, so this week there probably won't be a video coming out on Wednesday like normal. Maybe I'll try to slap something together here quick this afternoon. It will be an LGA, yeah, it'll be an LGA. They're going with the pins inside the socket on AM5 compared to what they've been doing for years, which I think is a good decision actually. Because a lot of times when you pull a Ryzen processor out or one of the older AMDs, you pull the heatsink off, a lot of times your processor will come out unless you turn that heatsink a little bit. You're on a chance of messing up the pins on the AM4 or AM3 processors. So this week there probably won't be no video coming up. The next few videos, I'll probably do some videos on that 6400 that I got coming in anyways. I'm thinking about canceling it since I messed up the Dell Optiplex, but I think I'll go ahead and get it. The 3000 pins are very fragile. They've, I don't know if they've thinned them down or something. But it seems like they've gotten more fragile than what they was even with the 1700 socket or the I'm sorry, the first gen Ryzen processor seems to have a little bit stiffer pins on them than what the 3000 does. The 3000 does have very fragile pins to them. Like I said, I may go ahead and buy another Dell Optiplex to do that with. While we're talking about it, let's see what I can pick one of those up for on eBay. Dell Optiplex. Flip you guys over here if you can see what I'm looking at here. 139. It's got the 4700 in it for $140. I don't see that happening. Hell, I'd be happy with an i5. 6th gen, 7th gen, 8th gen, 9th gen. Then we have i5s for got i5 10th gen, 11th gen, 12th gen. I'd rather not go back any further than 6th gen now. But I'll take the newer stuff. Let's see what we come up with. We will go lowest price. There we go. Now 5008 is fragile though. 30 pins. Get in with a bad CPU or worse CPU than the compatible one gets. Yeah. 3040. It's got the i5, the i3, i5, i7, 6th gen bare bones. I don't care if it's bare bones or not, but $300, I ain't paying that for one. The 560. 3.0 i5 8500, 8 gigs of RAM, 500. That can't be right. That's bids only. Let's do the buy it now. Buy it now. Dell Optiplex 3040, 6th gen Bell Bones with motherboard, fans, no CPU, RAM, or SSD for $30. I could probably handle that one. You can reuse the components of the other one. Get it with a bad CPU or worse CPU than it's compatible with. That's what I was looking at right here. $30. Dell Optiplex 3040 SFF, which that graphics card would fit into. I got the CPU, I got the RAM. I ain't worried about the SSD, and I get one for $30. See if they got a picture of the back of it. I think that one may fit. That one may do it. I wonder why. What was that? The 540? I believe that was the 540. Yeah, there's one with vent pins. I don't want it with vent pins. Barebone motherboard, heatsink fan, chassis, power supply for $60. Hmm. 8 available tested key functions or 2 ready for resale. At least you salvage components. Is your GPU compatible and height, width, etc.? That's kind of what I was looking at. That's why I typed in the 540, because I know that pretty sure it fit in the 540. It is a low profile card, so it should fit in pretty well any of them. Motherboard, PSU, no CPU, RAM, or SSD, $40. That's the 740. It's got the 2 slots that the graphics card will fit into. I got the CPU, I got the RAM. I ain't worried about the SSD. This is not working. Used SFF desktop, no RAM, no hard drive, no CPU, Optiplex 740 SF bare bone. i3, i5, i7, 6th gen motherboard, PSU. No CPU, RAM, or SSD. I ain't worried about the SSD, the RAM, or the CPU. I've got that. I don't know. Maybe I can pick one up here for a reasonable price and continue with it. It'd take me a while to get it in though to be able to do it. And it is PCI Gen 3 at the very least. Yeah, 6th gen, anything that's 6th gen will be at least PCI Gen 3. OEM Dell Optiplex 540 SFF, barebone, motherboard, PSU, power supply, caddy, DVD, Wi-Fi. But still, yeah, that's still $60 for it, and they want $20 shipping for it, I think it said. $20 shipping to me. That's still $80 that I have to pay for it. I don't know. Maybe I can find something that they'll do the job. AMD is it PCI Gen 3 at the very least. 6400 will suffer with Gen 2. Some boards of the last era are Gen 2. Oh, for the 6000 series, for the 6th gen, some of them's PCI Express 2.0. Huh, imagine that. I wasn't aware of that. I thought as long as it was 6th gen, it would have at least 3.0 on it. But that's an option. I may pick up one to be able to complete them videos. Free 3-day shipping for $100. Actually, that ain't bad. It's got Windows 10 Pro on it. I saw a few videos like the one you wanted to make, and it did happen. I thought most of them was PCI Express 3.0, but I could be wrong on that. I mean, hell, right there's one for $80, 23 shipping to me, yo. So you're still looking at a little over $100 for it. Large 4i 6500, 4GB RAM, boosted BIOS, no hard drive for $70 with $35 shipping. If I can find one cheap enough that don't have a CPU or RAM and all that in it, I may pick one up and finish the videos. There's $30.75. I don't think it got the 3040. Free shipping. Yes, I saw a few videos. Dell.com support. It's Gen 3, the Optiplex 540. The 540 does have the Gen 3. My PCI Express Gen 3, yeah. So I need to at least get the 540 then. But I know got bent pins for $30-40. And I don't want to do one. Got bent pins. Heatsink, fan, chassis, power supply. Already got the power supply or the other one as well. There's a 550. Last one $60. Buy it now. Free returns. What's the shipping going to cost me? 3-4 day shipping. Located in Georgia. That's all what I need. 550 bare bones, motherboard, power supply, heatsink, fan, chassis. $60. Dell Optiplex 550, SFF, bare bone, motherboard, power supply, heatsink, fan, chassis. Comes with motherboard, power supply, heatsink, fan chassis, HHD caddy. No CPU, RAM, HHD, or DVD. Work with 1151 CPUs like 6500. We only ship to the continental U.S. Please be advised we ship only to conform U.S. addresses. We do not accept orders from outside the U.S. For $60, it may be worth it. It has both PCIe covers on the back. That's what I was looking at. It's got the two PCI Express cards, and it is a low profile cord. For $60, 4,117 reviews on with 97.4% positive feedback. I got a DVD player. I think I hadn't said don't have DVD, but hell, I've got one of those out of the other one. Comes with the motherboard, power supply, heatsink, fan, chassis, and HDD caddy. I ain't worried about the hard drive or the DVD because I've got it. I just hate to spend another $60 because I'm an idiot. Up to dual slot. Yeah, the graphics card I bought, I believe it is a dual slot card. Actually, it's a single slot. The one I ordered is this one right here, and it is actually a single slot. So it would work. Do I want to spend an extra $60 to get a couple extra videos out of it? $6,500 XD is dual. 5,400 is slot. You mean 6,400? That is single slot card. Except PayPal. Let's it cost me $63.60. Oh man. Oh man. Is it going to work for me? Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Maybe. 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 Cut down even a size. Your order's in. There we go. That's what you call live stream buying right there. Your order is in. Total of $63.60. Just bought me a Dell Optiplex 5050 SFF barebone. You should get it by August the 5th. How we like that? So I will be able to continue with that. I do need to get on my PayPal and do some changing to it though. I got a new cell phone number and I never went in chat, never went into PayPal and changed it. Well, it ain't too bad. Yeah, I mean $64, basically $64. I guess I could do better. It cost me $65. Man, I've did worse in my life. I've made mistakes that cost me a lot more than $65 before. But there you go. Ordered me another Dell Optiplex to replace the motherboard that I messed up this morning. Oh. And like I said, $65 ain't too bad. I gotta take another break, guys. I'll be right back. All right. I'm back, fellas. I'm back. Ain't too bad. If it had RAM, you could try mismatched RAM to have more to max out the slots and capacity a bit. Wouldn't matter much on an older system like this. Yeah, whenever I ran the benchmarks on the integrated graphics, the RAM wasn't an issue. Which that was a video I had in mind for that system anyways. It comes with dual channel 8 gig of RAM, 4 gigs per stick. I was thinking about upgrading to 16 gigs, see if it actually make a difference or not. But on the integrated graphics, I don't think it made much of a difference. Now, once you put the 6400 into it, it may make a difference. That's one of the video ideas I have in mind for that system. And I want to get I noticed, well, at least the motherboard that I messed up does have an M.2 slot on it. So I may put an NVMe drive in it, which being 6th gen, I believe that's a PCI 3.0 M.2 slot on that, or PCI 4.0, which you can still pick them up fairly cheap. That wouldn't be too much of an upgrade. Probably wouldn't be much more than adding a SATA drive to it, but to give you a lot better performance with Gen 3 speeds. That's something else I was wanting to do with that system. But yeah, better RAM speeds wouldn't make a difference, but 16 gigs will only help marginally. Yeah, if you get faster RAM speeds, you could do a lot better. I don't even know what the RAM speed is on that RAM that came in that other one I messed up this morning. I don't even know if I can see it or not. I don't think it had very fast RAM in it. Let's see if I can see the speed of the RAM that was in that old system. Got to turn on some extra lights here. I'm getting old. 4 gigs. PC3, 12800U. I think it's a 2600 kit, I believe. And 1 or times 8 PC3L, 12800U. Not too sure on what the hell all that means. Surely ain't your regular RAM kit. What did I say it was? 12800U. Let's see here. Let me get my light turned off. Where's my light button? There's my light button. that Samsung die? I didn't think it was Samsung memory. Maybe it is Samsung memory. 4 gig or 800U desktop memory. That ain't it, because it's DDR4, ain't it? I believe that should be DDR4 memory, not DDR3. That is DDR3 memory. Ain't that something? 6th gen to run on DDR3. Okay. It runs at 1600 megahertz. Can I enlarge that a little bit? I want to make sure it's the same thing I'm looking at, but I can't tell. I had 2 4 gig 1866 memory G-Skill sniper kit on my old system, and it didn't cost me a lot for those. Yeah, usually if it's DDR3, it usually ain't gonna cost you a whole lot. Hold on a second, guys. Let me take a picture of this where I can blow it up so I can actually see what the hell is going on here. It's a shame to get old. Don't get old, guys. Alright, let's see what that looks like. Back in 2012, it cost me kidney for in both arms. Yeah, in 2012 it did. Oh, what we got here? Some kind of China kit. It is the R1. Let's see here. 4 gigs. 1 R times 8. PCL3 12800U 1113A1. Right there we go. That's what the RAM is that it's got in it. It's got 2 of them. It was for my old FM1 rig. The AM83 A8 3870 APU. That must be a Samsung die. Oh, it's $16.25 a piece. Imagine that. Memory speed is 1600 on it. So the kit that comes with that, it is 1600 megahertz speeds. Mega transfer speeds, however you want to look at it. SK Hynix. That's Samsung. let's go with the SK Hynix. There we go. Yeah, A1. There we go. $5 a piece used on eBay. That kind of looks more like what I've got. Yep, there's what I'm looking at. That's what I've got right there. 4 gigs of DDR3 SD RAM. Memory modules for desktop. 4 gigs DDR3 1600 megahertz. That's the RAM that came in the pre-built that I destroyed this morning. Well, I got me a bare bones system with a good motherboard coming in now, so I got the RAM and the CPU out of it. I got the hard drive out of the old system. I think the one I just ordered from eBay, I think it came with Windows 10 Pro instead of Home, which would be nice. What am I doing here? I'm lost on eBay. How do you get lost on eBay? I'm lost. It was, you can buy an old PC with 4 sticks of RAM for as much as I am sure. How many RAM slots on the system you ordered? That's what I was looking at, was the system that I ordered. And I'm kind of lost right now. To my eBay. Summary, bids, offers. That ain't right. That's the wrong account. Sign out. I have signed out my eBay. Now, since I've signed out, I should be able to sign in with a different account. Right? Right. I hope. eBay's a little crazy right now. Summary. Purchase history, because I just purchased it. There we go. Let's put you guys over here. Let's find out. I get lost on the Amazon site, so I wouldn't judge you. Yeah. Some of these sites is be pretty confusing at times, especially when you have multiple accounts. Here's the order, the one I just ordered. Can't tell by the pictures of it. And I don't know if it's got 2 RAM slots or 4 on it. The one that the PC originally came with had 4 slots on it. Well, I think it was a little bit bigger case because it had the 4 expansion slots on it. Newegg has it flawless, but it is simpler and cleaner to search. Yeah, I like the search features on Newegg a lot better. I don't think it says I don't think it has anything about how many RAM slots it's got. I don't know. I don't know if it's got 2 or 4. I'm gonna say with the size of it, I'm gonna say it's only gonna have 2 RAM slots on it. That one looks a little bit smaller than the other one I have. The one I bought before was the 540. But I don't know if it was the SFF front. Of course, the other one I've had since August of last year, I think. In the last 60 days, 2022. It won't even show me the listing for the one I just destroyed. Powerful product and innovation. Power performance, smart solution. Yeah, but that's going to give you a wide variety depending on which one you choose, though. Um, Pretty sure with that being an SFF, it's going to only have 2 DIMM slots on it. I hope it don't take the SODIMMs. If it takes the SODIMMs, I may have messed up again. That surely wouldn't take the SODIMMs, would it? Got a different heatsink on than what mine had. But I got the RAM and the CPU and the hard drive. I also got a power supply out of the other one, so I got some got the components to finish it once it comes in. Just need to wait for it to come in here in a few days, and then graphics card. It should be in before that thing actually comes in. I wish they'd have a picture of it with the hard drive cage out of it, though. Dell 5040MT. Here's the specs of the one that I did have. The one that I messed up on this morning. It was the 540 mini tire. 2-channel high def audio, Gen 3. Wish they had a picture of it though. 540 MT. Let's see here. There we go. The same one you can buy brand new for $160. 3.6 with the 8 gigs of RAM. It's only got a 250 gig, 250 gig SSD. That's the one I messed up this morning. And it's got the 4 RAM slots in it. And the PS little PSU. Of course, I bought mine used off of eBay for like $125, I think it was. But yeah, I got me another one coming in now, I guess. Done ordered it, so. I'm hoping it all works out in the long run. Get the graphics card here in a few days, and I've already got like I said, I got the CPU and the RAM out of the system that I messed up this morning to put into it. Only about the other one's going to have the M.2 socket in it. Probably not. I don't know if it's going to have the M.2 slot in it or not. Can't tell. Because it lays right there beside the RAM sticks on these. Oh well, I guess I'll deal with it when it comes in, see what I've got out of the two, and I'll try to build one out of it. Yeah, if I can't come up with a quick little video throw together here this afternoon sometime, there probably won't be no video coming up on the channel this week. You guys know I hate to miss, but no, excuse me. Due to my stupidity, M2 key. Yeah, the old one had the M2 key. The M2M. That's for a Wi-Fi card. Now this was a full. I don't even know where I got the motherboard laid at. No, I done threw it in the closet. It had the full M.2 slot for the SSD on it. So the one that I messed up this morning, the motherboard I messed up this morning would take an M.2 SSD. I don't know if this new one that I just ordered is going to have it or not. By looking at this over here, got the Y16 slot, 2-channel, system set, bus is PCI Gen 3, bus speeds. Full height cards. Full height cards. I don't see how you're gonna fit full height video card in there. Specifications. for 7-pin connector, internal USB, SSD. It does have the M.2 280 socket 3 type on this motherboard. So it will fit a M.2 on it. You can get adapters for that to put a 30 or 40 millimeter M.2 SSD on it. It is a common workaround for older laptops to have more specs. Yeah, to be able to speed them up some. By looking at the list that you sent me, Chris, it does support the M.2 22x80 socket 3. So I will be able to put an NVMe times 3 socket on it. Hard drive on it, SSD on it. I guess that'd be alright, I guess. Side M.2 SSD. Is that a SATA drive for the socket 3? Now on the 740 MT, it says it can support up to a PCI times 4 slot. Now I have to do some investigating to see if it will do NVMe or if it'll have to be a SATA drive. No NVMe support on that gen. Yeah, it's in the QVL list. Huh. Oh, okay. Well, even if I go with a SATA 3 drive on it, be less cabling inside. Which them usually come with pretty good with plenty of extra SATA cables and whatnot to be able to hook up an extra drive with. May have to add my own SATA data cable to it, but I got the 2 out of the other system, and it ain't like I don't have many others laying around here. Yeah, I don't know if it'll, I'll have to wait till I get it in and see what I've actually got to deal with. I'll look up the specs on it. I mean, I don't think it had NVMe support on old DDR3 systems like this. Yeah, that's right. With the DDR3 system, it probably don't have it. They probably don't have the NVMe support. Maybe I'll go with a SATA 3 SSD in it then. I don't know. Maybe I'll go with 2.5 inch. I got one of them laying back there as well. Already got it bought, so I'll probably go with the 2.5 inch drive SSD in it. I'll check it out when it next comes in. I'll do a little bit more research on it, see what I can and can't fit into it. I hate to buy a NVMe times 3 drive and not be able to get the full capacity out of it. A 2280 SATA drives. Yeah, I don't think the SATA 3 drives is very much for the 22 for the NVMe support. I don't think. I think you can get them fairly cheap. M.2 SATA drive. Well, if I learn how to spell, should be able to get them fairly cheap. I mean, even the SATA, the times 3 ain't very much. SATA 3, 6 gigabit. I don't know. I ain't gonna put 1 terabyte in it. I don't think the computer's worth 1 terabyte. Let's see what it loads up as. M key. That's all the adapters and shit like that. I don't want that. Let's see, components, storage devices, SSDs, internal SSDs, 2280. Let's go down here and mark it as a SATA 3 drive. Hit apply. Lowest price. 128. We want at least what, 500 gigs at least. I wouldn't want to pay anything less than 500 gig in it. Hell, NVMe drives are cheaper than the SATA drives for some forms. Sort by price. And there's a 512 gig by Team Group for $35. I think you're right. That's probably just as much as the SATA 3 interface is for the NVMe. $35, 7 cents per gig. I'll have to do some investigating into it and see what kind of prices run, but I do have the 2.5-inch drive back there. It'd be a lot better than the hard drive that the original one came with. Alright guys, I've been going for about 2 hours. I think I'm going to wrap it up for today. Like I said, everything I talked about as far as the news goes and everything like that will be linked in the description below. Besides the couple that I looked at that I wasn't planning on hitting on. I didn't put links down there for them. But I'm going to get out of here for the day. Them links will be in the description if you'd like to learn a little bit more on the articles I talked about today. Don't forget to do all that fun YouTube stuff. I'll see y'all. Y'all have a good day, and I'll see you in the next live stream or video.